The woman traveled to the modern world to study medicine and eventually became a top doctor. Unexpectedly, she returned to the world she once lived in. This time, she didn't plan to be the queen with no presents, but swore to become a truly great doctor. But the family, to make her face reality, sent her to the worst hospital in the house. Even the doctors in the hospital thought Miss Annie was just messing around. So he decided if Annie didn't hand in her report before 10 o'clock, he would immediately kick her out. Just as the clock pointed exactly to 10, there was a knock at the door. Annie pushed the door open and entered. After learning that Annie's medical skills were self-taught, Jack couldn't help but laugh. If not for pressure from the Earl, he wouldn't have let Annie in at all. Then Jack asked her, if a patient died during treatment, what would she do? Seeing the expression on Annie's face, Jack was shocked. That was an expression only doctors who had faced life and death many times would have. But the feeling vanished quickly. Then Jack took her to a ward. The people living here were all seriously ill, helpless, and without medicine. Jack deliberately arranged Annie here to make her give up early. Annie dressed neatly, forming a sharp contrast with the patient's untattered clothes. They didn't believe Annie could cure them at all, but Annie didn't say much. She looked around at the messy, dirty environment and decided to start by cleaning. She knew a clean environment could greatly reduce the death rate, but no one had ever cleaned here. If she did it alone, who knew how long it would take? At this moment, several nurses joined to help. With everyone's effort, the ward was finally renewed. Just then, a patient let out a painful moan. He had fallen while fixing the roof, causing several broken ribs. Annie gently turned him over and found that there were already severe bed sores on the man's back. If not treated, it could easily lead to infection and sepsis. Annie immediately decided to start treatment. She asked the nurses to prepare the operating room, then went to get disinfectant and anesthesia. But when everyone heard she was going to perform the surgery herself, they all looked uneasy. Even the patient himself was very hesitant, but Annie seemed to have already seen through his concerns.